Do you feel disrupted by difficult people at work? Like you've got a job to do, but people are making it way harder than it needs to be? Well, in this video, I'm going to share 4 things I know you can do to help you with that and be more successful with it. Somebody I once worked with, let's change their name and call them James, was brought in by a large corporation to help create and drive a program of operational improvements. That was because it was having some issues with the quality and consistency of operational work. James is a professional in that field and advised the managers to implement certain metrics and processes to create an incremental, objective, data-driven approach to improvement. The managers gave James their support and a mandate to engage the teams and implement his recommendations. The problem was that the teams didn't want to change how they worked. They didn't see the value in it. And by the way, there's a clue right there. They resisted. Some of them didn't take the training. Some of them who did take the training didn't pay full attention. They didn't do all the things that they were supposed to do. And what they did do, they didn't necessarily do properly. And they pushed a lot of the work back on James. Sometimes they'd mock what James was trying to do with jokes. And sometimes they'd complain to their managers about what James was asking them to do. Of course, James experienced them as difficult and got frustrated. Now, let's confront something. Although we talk about difficult people, it's not really that people are difficult. It's that their behaviour presents us with difficulty. Now, I realise that might seem like a pedantic distinction, but trust me, it's important. Sometimes these kinds of subtle distinctions make all the difference in how we think about our problems and the possible solutions. If we learn to label people as difficult rather than their behaviour, we're unlikely to be able to negotiate that behaviour. We're unlikely to be able to see more possibilities for the person, and that will be a stumbling block. My first tip is to stay professional. I know that sounds easy, but when people are resisting you, baiting you, or trying to knock you off course, it's easy to take it personally. James did to begin with. The people who were presenting him with what he experienced as difficult behaviour might not have been doing this consciously, but they were trying to get past the professional and to the person. Getting to the person and their sensitivities is one of the ways that we've unconsciously learned to manipulate each other. I urged him to stay professional. You are simply being presented with a problem to be solved, a situation to be navigated. That's all. It's really no different to being the logistics driver who gets stuck behind roadworks or gets a flat tyre en route. Yes, it's a disruption. Yes, it's blocking you from achieving your next goal. Yes, it means you're going to lose time and have to do more work. But you stay professional. You keep your professional head and you work the problem. I often like to use what I call the watchmaker metaphor. The professional watchmaker doesn't take it personally that somebody's watch is broken or that they're upset about it. The professional watchmaker simply says, okay, let's take a back off and see what's going on. My second tip is to stay in the game. James's frustration was that he wanted to move forward more quickly than he could, and with that frustration he was tempted to give up. But if we're experiencing resistance to our mission in the world right now, it doesn't mean we've failed. All it means is that we have to regroup and treat our mission in the world as a longer game than maybe we thought. James had a clear vision of what he was trying to create. In fact, he had a terrific vision board that he could show anybody who wanted to listen. He also had a quite informative visual roadmap to describe the way forward at a high level. I reminded him to stay on that vision, to stay on that roadmap, to stay in the game, to accept that it might take longer, that it'll definitely take more patience, but with patience and tenacity, he would have breakthroughs. I talked to him about how if we're blocked on any one particular goal of the roadmap, then rather than be defeated, break that problem down into smaller and more manageable chunks. Whether you can move forward at 100 miles an hour or only 1 pace per hour, or even if you have to stand still or even take a step back, if the mission matters, stay in the game, stay on the goal. My third tip is to invest in rapport. Rapport is a state of open, responsive communication that occurs between two people. It's the state in which people open up to each other and get warmer with each other. Resistance is often the symptom of a lack of rapport with the people that we work with. James hadn't built the rapport with his colleagues. So how do we build rapport? Well, by talking, by getting to know each other. We don't really need manipulative techniques to convince each other's unconscious mind that there's a state of rapport when there isn't. isn't. Just be interested, be curious, be willing to open up, be willing to be vulnerable. And in that, find the common ground, such as values that you both share and interests, and start talking about them. Don't underestimate the value of building rapport with people. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it can feel like time that's not spent on the goal. It is important though. Once James started investing in rapport, it led to much more productive, exploratory conversations that started to create solutions. By the way, if you're getting value out of this video, do give it the thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notifications bell so that you'll know when new content arrives. My fourth tip is to be the negotiator. Being the negotiator is how we stay professional and staying for the long game. And it builds on the rapport that we've created. Being the negotiator starts with putting ourselves in the shoes of those that we want to influence. In the shoes of those who are giving us the obstructive, resisting behavior. And empathizing with them. No, seriously, I mean it. Empathizing with them. That doesn't mean agreeing. It means empathizing with where they're coming from. What's important to them? What's going on for them that they resist this? What are their fears and concerns? What are their needs? And what do we need to do to be able to move forward? From that, we can start to have exploratory, problem-solving conversations. Being the negotiator means being the explorer, being curious, exploring the resistance, exploring people's concerns, exploring options, exploring ways forward with people. This is where it's important to separate the person from the behavior. Now, I have a bonus tip for you, and that is to master the art of staying calm in difficult meetings. And you can add that to your armory by watching this video here. This is Steve, and I wish you health and happiness.